have a special verse to share with you today. Have you ever felt burdened by sin and guilt? Or perhaps you find yourself falling into those same old patterns, those old habits that seem to get us. And we wonder, is God going to give up on me? I'm such a mess. Well, if you have felt those things, you're not alone. We've all been there a time or two. But I have good news for you, and this good news is found in 1 John 3, verse 20. For if our heart condemns us, God is greater than our heart and knows all things. The Bible talks a lot about our hearts being deceitful, that we don't even really know all that's inside. And Satan loves to take advantage of our feelings. And so this is why it's important to trust in God rather than how we feel. There are 3 ways that our hearts condemn us. But there's also 3 ways that God is greater than our hearts, and 3 ways we need to trust in Him. Number 1, God is greater than our past. Our heart sometimes tells us that we have sins too great for God to forgive. We say, look at my past, look what I've done. How could God accept me? How can I even go back to Him with all these things? But God is greater than all of our sin. He is faithful. That means if I confess, He is faithful to forgive me my sins. And I can trust that when I go to God, no matter what it is, He will forgive me. Number 2, God is greater than our guilt. Often we've gone to God and we've confessed our sins and He's told us, I forgive you. But over time, Satan loves to cast those old faults and failures back into our faces and say, look what you've done. And we feel that burden of guilt, especially when we still see the consequences in our lives of some of the past decisions we've made. And we start to doubt that God really has forgiven us. But we don't need to doubt. God is greater than our guilt. He's greater than our heart. Instead of giving in to what Satan would have us believe, that God hasn't forgiven us, we need to instead trust that God has forgiven us. Number 3, God is greater than our carnal heart. That simply means that our heart has temptations and attractions that aren't spiritual. There's things in this world that we want that we know would be spiritually unhealthy for our relationship with God. And sometimes we've gone over the same road, it seems, so many times. We fall into the same habits so many times. We wonder, are we ever going to get it right? Are we going to get our act together? How can I go back to God with the exact same thing to confess when I've done it so many times? But remember that the God who is greater than our heart, He is a creator God. And He is recreating our heart day by day. And while we might not see the immediate effects in some giant way, He is doing it bit by bit as He has promised. He is faithful to do the work in us that He has promised that He will do. He has said that He is the author and will be the finisher of our faith. He is going to finish the work that He has started in us, and we can trust that He will do so. Our job is to keep bringing our brokenness to Him. Just keep surrendering it and know that the God who is the creator God, our hearts, they're nothing to a God like that. He will recreate us. So when you're feeling overwhelmed and overburdened by sin, by guilt, or even wondering if you're ever going to get out of the rut that you've created for yourself, never be afraid to go to God. He is there ready to forgive. We can trust that forgiveness is there regardless of how our heart feels. And remember, when we mess up on that same thing again, just run back to God. He's doing that recreating day by day. We can have faith in that.